Little Garden, the most prestigious military academy, invites a young teenager named Hayato Kisaragi to enroll at their school because of his compatibility with the Hundred, a weapon capable enough to eradicate the extraterrestrial beings known as Savage. As his plane lands on the mighty battleship, Hayato learns that his feats are known among the students and even the officials. He then walks towards the entrance ceremony hall, where he encounters Emile Crossfode, Fritz Glantz, and Riesha St. Emilion. After formal introductions, the three of them head to the ceremony hall. There, the host of the ceremony calls upon Student Council President and the highest-ranked Slayer in Little Garden, Claire Harvey, to address the new batch of students. Claire proudly walks on stage with elegance in her every move. As she is about to begin her speech, two girls who were tasked with escorting Hayato to the hall abruptly barge in, attempting to explain their tardiness to the president by stating that they were waiting for Hayato's arrival. Angered by this incident, Claire points at Hayato, explaining that he has been present since the beginning of the ceremony, and turns out Little Miss Elegance also knows about him. Moving on, Claire opts to dismiss the two maidens due to their tardiness, since according to her reasoning, even a slight error on the battlefield could potentially lead to fatal consequences for their team. While her decision holds undeniable logical validity, it falls short in terms of empathy. As a result, Emile naturally stands in opposition to her decision. She begins her blabbering, stating that Claire lacks the authority to expel someone for a minor mishap, which only leads Emile to her own expulsion. Guess she learned about her authority. Claire then addresses Hayato to ask about his opinion on the matter. In response, Hayato courageously opposes Claire's decision, which comes as a shock to everyone. Angered by his response, Claire challenges Hayato to an honor duel at the main Coliseum. Flustered by the entire situation, Hayato tries to explain his stance on the situation, but Emile eagerly accepts the challenge on his behalf. After the entrance ceremony, Emile takes Hayato to the research department, where he gets introduced with Charlotte Demandius, a prodigy who has dedicated her life to research. She explains that humans are able to use strange weapons known as Hundred due to their compatibility with the variable stone. Naturally, those humans are known as Slayers, as they are able to transform their Hundred into many forms, however their type remains the same. For instance, Claire uses a Dragon-type Hundred, meaning it can transform into multiple cannons which she can control at will. As the explanation ends, Charlotte gives Hayato his own Hundred and sends him to the training ground alongside with Emile to practice for his upcoming duel. At the training grounds, both Hayato and Emile change into their variable suits, a type of suit that can transform alongside the Hundred. As Hayato fits into his new gear, he gazes upon Emile, but for some reason he is embarrassed by his stares. Right after the duel begins, Hayato deployed his new Hundred Flying Swallow, which turns out to be a Chevalier-type Hundred that transforms into a meter-long black blade, resembling the traditional Zambato, and a rugged arm protector similar to a traditional Yamato armor. Upon discovering some of his abilities, Hayato initiates his practice and persists with it until the evening. On the morrow, Hayato enters the main Coliseum, where a substantial crowd is excitedly waiting to witness the outcome of their duel. As the match commences, Hayato uses his special ability, which allows him to move at high velocity. However, due to lack of control, Hayato's goes whoosh and lands on Claire's huge talons. Embarrassed and angered, Claire unleashes her full power to attack poor Hayato. Initially, Hayato displays his skill as he avoids most of her attacks. He even lands a mid-air counter-strike, but all his efforts are in vain when compared to the might of the invincible queen. In that instance, Claire fires her cannons to knock him out of the sky. She calmly walks closer to Hayato, unleashing a shot at point-blank range, but to everyone's utter shock, Hayato's eyes change color as he gains a mysterious new power. With this newfound ability, Hayato unleashes a barrage of powerful attacks which forces Claire to switch to the defensive. Furthermore, Hayato transforms his Hundred into a full-body armament, a feat only few students at the academy have been able to achieve. In response to the current situation, Claire is compelled to activate her full-body armament. With her immense power fully unleashed, she skillfully ensnares Hayato while he's suspended in midair, setting the stage for her final, decisive attack. A while later, Claire pays a visit to Hayato in the hospital, revealing that she has withdrawn her earlier expulsion order. In that moment, Emile interrupts their conversation, displaying his discontent with the earlier duel. This starts an argument between the two of them, which forces Claire to leave the room. Back in the hospital, Emile excitedly takes Hayato to a trip around town for their first stop. Emile introduces Hayato to his favorite dessert place. As they continue walking, Hayato notices the masses staring at him. Seeing this, Emile reveals that most of the locals were present at the duel yesterday. He then takes him to the corner of the battleship where romantically involved people spend their time. This incident confuses Hayato, but he decides to let it swing. As time passes, Hayato receives a call from his sister Karen, who is admitted in a state-of-the-art hospital due to some mysterious disease. She warns Hayato about the girl he is with, stating that she is a pure monster. In response, Hayato affirms that he is not with a girl. Later that day, Emile and Hayato meet Karen on the streets. Apparently, the hospital permitted her to take a rendezvous around town. A while later, Karen takes the two roommates to a new cafe where she orders a ton of food. As the three of them enjoy eating, an unexpected visitor interrupts them, and it turns out the student council wants to recruit Hayato into their special squad of slayers, which means that he must accomplish various tasks assigned to him by HQ. As the conversation progresses, an emergency alarm activates in the city. All of the student council members receive information that a group of savages have attacked the city. As they get ready to leave, Charlotte comes along and advises the council to take Emile and Hayato with them to the attack site. After hearing her suggestion, Claire takes the two of them along to their headquarters, where Claire's assistant Chris, who is surprisingly a middle schooler, reports that the city has been attacked by two stranded savage. As he continues to search, Chris discovers that the third savage is a Trenta class, a kind of savage that has armor around it. This revelation forces Claire to withdraw her former initiative, as she orders Emile and Hayato to stay on the sidelines since they have no prior combat experience in the battlefield, while fighting a Trenta-class savage is difficult even for the council. As she moves on to strategize for the upcoming battle, Charlotte intervenes, revealing that Lisa, their autonomous computer, predicted that they would have favorable odds of victory if Hayato and Emile join the battle. Since Claire is unable to ignore the warnings of their computer, she decides to work together in the upcoming battle. As they begin strategizing, the student council determines that Hayato and Emile should engage the standard savage at Point Beta while they will take care of the Trenta-class savage. Right after explaining, Claire, Liddy, and Erica jump out of the plane to launch an air assault. Firstly, Erica uses a long-range weapon to decrease savage field of vision, and then Claire fires a headshot that exposes savage core. That's when Liddy comes in and delivers the killing blow. Meanwhile, in the aircraft, Emile pushes Hayato off without his consent, hoping to imitate the council's strategy. She fires a headshot and exposes the core of the savage, but unfortunately, Hayato fails to commit to his strike. Luckily, Emile arrives in time and delivers the ending blow, but the strange part is that she is able to transform her 100 into multiple types. Moving on, Hayato strikes another savage, but once again fails to destroy its core, which forces Emile to transit her 100 into an archer and fire a precise shot to its core. Meanwhile, another savage assailant launches an attack on the members of the student council. In a swift and decisive move, it overpowers and defeats Liddy and Erica. In that moment, Claire fires her one-shot cannon, but Savage deflects the attack, using his own blast breath. The situation gets worse when Claire realizes that she is low on energy, while simultaneously, the Savage launches another fire breath, but this time Claire's maneuvering capability is ceased. Fortunately, Hayato senses the danger and saves her just in nick of time. However, they are not out of trouble just yet, as Savage fires another shot in the direction of the airport, where many civilians are stranded. In that instant, Claire shows off her skill and devises a plan to deal with the blast. She tells Hayato to use his barrier alongside her so that they can deflect the monster's attack. Unfortunately, they fail to kill Savage, and in the instance, it unleashes a brute attack on Emile. This sight shakes Hayato to his core, awakening some of his memories, and that Emile was actually the girl he rescued in Gunberg a while ago, and her real name is Amelia. He then loses his consciousness, transforming into his full-body armament. With this new power-up, Hayato cold-heartedly cuts off the monster's arms and prepares to unleash a devastating attack that would eradicate the Savage and alongside it the city. Luckily, Amelia steps up and kisses Hayato, helping him regain consciousness. As a result, Hayato comes back to his senses and unleashes a precise attack that slices Savage in half while keeping his power in check. However, Little Miss Elegance is more worried about them locking lips. Back in the student dorms, Hayato asks Amelia to come clean about her shenanigans. In response, she reveals that in the past she was infected by the Savage virus, and as a result her 100 compatibility score skyrocketed, just like him. As they continue talking, she reveals that variants suffer a side effect of the virus whenever their life is in danger. This causes them to lose consciousness and start a rampage, but they can learn to control this outburst through intense training. Soon, another backlash of the virus hits Hayato, causing him to trip over Amelia with his hands all in the wrong places. Meanwhile, Amelia takes advantage of the moment to kiss him. Right after, Claire comes barging in the room only to discover the two lovebirds smooching. Flustered by the situation, Hayato immediately gets up, but due to a misstep, he trips over again and this time kisses Claire. This sparks a heated argument between the two girls, and suddenly the whole male dorm ends up feeling jealous. An entire month has passed since the Savage incident on the island. Ever since then, Hayato has been training relentlessly alongside Amelia in order to fully master his variant abilities. On the training grounds, Hayato and Amelia team up to train against Fritz and Riisha. As the battle progresses, Hayato and Amelia sync their attack to corner Fritz, but at the last moment he fires a shot at point-blank range. Luckily, Hayato is able to equip his full-body armament upon will, and with this newfound control he defeats the two of them with ease. After the battle, the teams analyze their performance. Emilia assures Riisha and Fritz that they are strong, since they force Hayato to equip his full-body armament. In the meantime, Claire summons Hayato to the student council office, where she reveals that Sakura Kirishima, his sister's favorite artist, is going to perform in Little Garden. Furthermore, she personally requested Hayato to be her bodyguard. As the conversation progresses, the student council explains that last month 7 savages came to enter Earth's atmosphere, from which 4 attacked the Little Garden, while the rest were shot down by long-range weapons. Nonetheless, only one of the remains has been located and identified, indicating that the possibility of another savage attack lingers ominously. After carefully accessing the situation, Hayato accepts the job. Later that day, Hayato heads to the hospital to meet with Karen, where he reveals that he will be guarding Sakura over the weekends. The next morning, Hayato heads to the airport and gets acquainted with Sakura Kirishima, and after formal introductions, Sakura displays her gratitude towards Hayato for accepting her blunt request. Together they head to the hotel, where Sakura asks Hayato to marry her and goes on and on about her perfect life with 3 kids and 2 puppies, while Hayato is still way behind on the situation. He then walks closer to Sakura, stating that he wants everything that a little diva has planned. Moreover, they should seal the deal with a true love's kiss. This sudden change in Hayato's behavior flusters her, and in the end, she swiftly escapes the situation, allowing Hayato to take a breath of relief. In the evening, Sakura takes Hayato to visit the enormous concert site, where Sakura's assistant Souffle reveals that they have sold over 100,000 tickets, so they need all the space they can get. At that moment, Sakura reveals her own 100ly fairy tale, which she wants to use during the performance. As she displays the immense beauty of her 100, Charlotte arrives, explaining that Sakura holds a rare 100 known as the Field type. The next morning, Hayato visits Claire's personal summer vacation resort, where he discovers that the variable stone present at the concert site has been stolen. Claire then warns Hayato, telling him to stay on his toes since he is their first line of defense. A while later, Hayato meets up with Emilia to take a trip around town. As their date begins, they head to a nearby store where she insists him to change into something informal. After changing his clothes, Hayato notices that Emilia has been eyeing on a few necklaces for some time. For the first time, Hayato shows some sense and offers to buy her a necklace, which symbolizes that their hearts will ever be intertwined. The couple then heads out of the store when suddenly Hayato notices Fritz and Riisha entering the store. This forces them to hide in a small changing room for the time being. Later, the two swiftly get away from the store unnoticed. At that moment, Claire contacts him, disclosing that Sakura has seemingly vanished of her own volition from her room. Additionally, the traceable GPS signal of the young diva has been deactivated. Claire urgently instructs him to engage in the search without delay. Surprisingly, as Hayato hangs up the phone, Sakura arrives in front of him, revealing that due to her GPS, she can track Hayato's location in an emergency. As they continue talking, Sakura forces Hayato to visit the island's Grand Canyon with her, where she suddenly asks about his sister's name. Upon discovering Karen's name, Sakura reveals that she met Hayato and Karen in the bunker after the second attack on Gutenberg. Right then, he praised her singing, sparking Sakura's confidence to chase a music career. Yet, the next day, her father fetched her. Sadly, she soon fell victim to a strange ailment like Karen. Gradually, Sakura's condition worsened and she lost her singing voice. At that time, Souffle undermined the entirety of her treatment. However, Sakura's father grew impatient and sent her to a research facility where Vitali, the director of the lab, injected vaccines made of various savage fluids into multiple children, turning them into variants. Furthermore, most of the children in the facility died due to the vaccine's effect, but for some strange reason, Sakura was completely healed. As she wraps up her past, Hayato tells Sakura that he is a variant himself, but he is new to this gig. This revelation sparks a bunch of different song ideas in Sakura's head. Excited, she decides to rush back to the hotel. On their way back, Hayato and Sakura take a bus, which is then ambushed by savages. Meanwhile, at the student council office, Chris locates Hayato's current location, revealing that he is on the mountain pass. The situation couldn't get any worse as there are no hunters nearby. Claire issues an immediate order for reinforcement, but deep down she is aware that Hayato must fend off the savages himself. Back in the mountain pass, Hayato is greatly at a disadvantage due to the lack of his variable suit, but still he manages to kill one savage with the assistance of the little diva. However, that is not enough, as a regenerator savage arrives on the battlefield. Luckily, in that instance, Fritz, Riisha, and Emilia arrive at the scene to provide backup. The team simultaneously attacks the unique savage, but due to his ability of regeneration, it heals all the wounds. That's when Emilia decides to create an opening for Hayato in order to destroy its core. Right when he's about to deliver the final hit, Kraven, Alfred, and Nessat Alfred jump in and stop the attack. It turns out they want to get the cores of the Savage for some reason. Following an intense and pitched battle, Kraven and Nessat successfully achieve their objective, leaving the Slayers empty-handed in the end. Later, Claire gathers everyone involved in her office and explains that Kraven and Nessat are hunters, kind of like mercenaries. Chris adds that the cores of the Savage are like special stones, and with a little change, they can become something called 100, a really powerful weapon. Claire says this is secret info, but the most important thing is that nobody gets hurt. Also, Emilia, Fritz, and Riesho will start joining the selection missions from now on. Later at night, under the majestic moon, Sakura regrets her past decisions and curses her own powerlessness. In that moment, Hayato assures her that her songs are not meaningless and that they help people all around the world. The next day, Sakura performs at the concert, mesmerizing everyone present. At the end, she sings the same song that she played years ago in the bunker alongside Karen and Hayato, which catches Hayato off guard. At the airport, Sakura bids farewell to everyone and gives Hayato a special kiss on the cheek. Meanwhile, Souffle tells Charlotte that there is something wrong with Sakura's voice. In response, she promises Souffle that she would personally investigate the matter. In the morning, Hayato wakes up only to discover Sakura in his bed. Just then, Claire and Emilia come into the room and are surprised to find Sakura in his arms. A while later, Emilia and the entire student council decide to hit the beach for some well-deserved vacation. As they reach the beach, Sakura attempts to sway Hayato using her swimsuit while Emilia is sulking over the fact that she has to remain in her normal clothes since Sakura is unaware of her secret. All of them then begin having fun, but nothing lasts forever, as Claire's older brother and the CEO of Warslan, Judel Harvey, makes a grand entrance. After formal introductions, he tells Claire to join him in his helicopter to discuss some important business. Back in the student council office, Claire summons each selection mission member to reveal that they will be a part of an anti-Savage operation, which will be a joint operation with the peacekeeping army. She tells them to be careful, since they are going to represent Little Garden in this endeavor. As everyone leaves the office, Judel catches Hayato off guard and asks Hayato to accompany him to a mysterious place. The two then head to the basement, where the power system of Little Garden is located. In the lift, Judel asks Hayato whether he is aware of the power system's origins and type. In response, Hayato reveals that Little Garden is powered by a nuclear reactor, but Judel explains that the nuclear reactor was just a story they orchestrated to hide the truth. They then enter a mysterious room, where Hayato discovers a sleeping beauty frozen inside a crystal. In that moment, Judel reveals the truth, stating that Little Garden is being powered by his sister Lisa Harvey, who is also known as the First Slayer and Varian. She has the strange ability to produce an unlimited amount of energy. As he continues explaining, Claire arrives with a gun in her hand. She aims at Judel's head, demanding that he reveal the reason he brought an outsider to their most confidential area. In response, Judel tells Claire that he brought Hayato along because one day he will become a key warrior in Warslan. However, this response doesn't satisfy Claire, so she fires a warning shot to show her determination. Forced to reveal the truth, Judel tells Claire that Hayato possesses the divine blood, which apparently can wake Lisa from her slumber. He then advises to touch the crystal and insert some of his energy into it. Unfortunately, all of his efforts are in vain. Disappointed by the results, Judel leaves the room, giving Claire space to discuss matters with Hayato. After his departure, Claire reveals that Hayato must not let a single word out about Lisa, or else the consequences will be dire. After a bit, the members for the selection mission go to the mission location. There, Emilia introduces Claudia Loetti, an army slayer from Gutenberg who wants Emilia to return to Gutenberg with her, as she's the hidden princess. This surprising news makes Emilia confess her true identity, as she's the third princess of Gutenberg. She then holds onto Hayato and admits her genuine feelings for him. This upsets Claudia, who challenges Hayato to a fair fight. As they start dueling, Claudia immediately attacks Hayato, thinking he's not strong. But as the fight goes on, Hayato shows his real strength and defeats Claudia. The next day, the team gets a small brief on their mission regarding the sudden appearances of Savage in the forest. Soon, everyone is deployed on the field, where Claudia decides to show off her skills together with Emilia to prove that they make a much better team than Emilia and Hayato. In the evening, the group gathers at the camp to discuss the progression of the mission. As they continue talking, Erica discloses that they are expected to experience light showers. A while later, the team sets up camp and designate each member to their rightful space. As the night grows young, Claire and Hayato attend their patrol duty. There, Hayato discloses that he wants his sister to experience things just like him and the others, but due to her mysterious illness, she is unable to leave the hospital. After hearing his regret, Claire confesses that she wants to build a world where everyone can relax and look up at the starry sky. As they talk, Claudia interrupts their moment, explaining that she saw a large shadow nearby the lake which could possibly be a Savage. As Hayato and Claire further investigate the matter, they find Savage lurking in the forest just as Claudia reported. Claire attempts to defeat the threat on her own, but unfortunately, she slips on a watery surface. Luckily, Hayato jumps in time to defeat Savage. The two of them then head to the lake, where Claire decides to take a warm bath. She then decides to reveal the truth about Lisa. In the past, Claire's mother injected Savage liquids in her embryo to produce a Slayer that can defeat the gods. Apparently, her wish came true because Lisa was born with immense energy. However, one day, Claire was caught in a Savage attack, and in an attempt to save her, Lisa tapped into some mysterious power, unleashing unimaginable energy. After that, Lisa went into a state of coma, but her body continues to release her massive power, which was enough to power the entire little garden. As she continues, Hayato receives a distorted message, claiming that the hunters have begun their attack. Claire orders Hayato to return to their base camp and inform the other members while she locates the hunters. After locating the 3 hunters, Claire challenges them to a fight alone, but battling 3 Slayers head-on is an impossible task even for the invincible queen. As the battle progresses, Kraven pins Claire to the ground in order to deliver the finishing strike. Fortunately, before things could get worse, Erica arrives with her 100 Everlasting to immobilize Kraven. Soon the rest of the team shows up at the scene to provide reinforcements. Kraven activates his variant virus to break free from Everlasting grip and launches another attack on Claire, but this time Hayato intervenes in the line of fire since they had some scores to settle. With his variant power, Kraven puts Hayato on the defensive. Meanwhile, Emilia displays her true battle power by defeating both Nestat and Nakri. She then walks closer to Nestat, revealing that she can replicate any 100 using her right eye. However, her power has a cooldown period, which means now she is at Emilia's mercy. As they continue talking, Emilia reminds Nestat that people possess eyes to perceive the beauty of the world. On the other hand, the battle between Hayato and Kraven grows tenser as he releases the power of the virus to its extreme. In that moment, a strange phenomenon occurs which allows Hayato to witness Kraven's childhood memories. Turns out the 3 siblings were slaves in a facility where they worked tirelessly, until one day the second attack of Savages commenced. The 3 siblings took advantage of the panic to escape from the facility. While escaping, Nesset got involved in a terrible accident that damaged one of her eyes. Luckily for them, Vitali gave them shelter and not only restored her vision, but also granted her the power to replicate 100. In the present, Kraven continues his barrage of attacks, and with it reveals that freedom is the reason he is pushed to fight. As he delivers the decisive strike, Kraven asks Hayato his reason for fighting. In response, Hayato explains that he fights to create a peaceful world. He then equips his full-body armament without relying on his variant power, and with one absolute strike, Hayato ends the battle. Unfortunately, their troubles are just starting as a dragon-type Savage makes a grand entrance. It uses its immense power to fire a blast breath nearby, which injures multiple layers present in the vicinity. On the ground, Kraven arrogantly attempts to slay Savage, hoping that he would obtain its core. As he begins his assault, Kraven discovers that the Savage has a barrier around it. In the end, Hayato is forced to jump in the line of action to save Kraven from the breath attack. Claire then orders all long-range Slayers to unleash their attacks simultaneously, but even that ends in failure. Meanwhile, back at Little Garden, Charlotte contacts Claire, revealing that Hayato must transfer his variant virus onto her. After a brief thought, Hayato kisses Claire to successfully complete the transfer of the virus. With her new power, Claire and the others fire at the barrier once again, and this time they shatter through it. This gives Hayato the opportunity to leap in using his full-body armament in order to finish the job. After returning to Little Garden, Claire gathers the rest of the student council to brief them about their current situation. She then explains that Kraven and the others are resisting interrogations since they are professionally trained individuals. As they continue, Hayato discovers that Warsland's intelligence division has discovered Vitali's secret hideout, but unfortunately she fled the scene before the Slayers could raid the facility. In that moment, Charlotte interrupts and explains that the intelligence division gathered a variety of research data, however all of it was encrypted and erased. This sudden change forced the student council to move with more caution in the upcoming Festa, a school festival for the student body and the local public that celebrates the beginning of Little Garden. For this task, they have increased security in each corner and have administered various cleaning robots. As the students get ready for the Festa, Hayato learns that Karen is going to sing alongside Sakura in her concert with the help of her new 100 Divine card. Just then, Charlotte intervenes to explain that Karen has been receiving various variant treatments which skyrocketed her compatibility with 100, an outcome she could have never predicted. Moving on, Sakura kicks Hayato out of the room, advising him to be patient like the rest of the world. As a few days pass, Claire announces the commencement of the new Festa. Many students build various spots from zombie restaurants to make cafes. However, Hayato and Emilia are excited to see Sakura's concert. At the concert, Sakura finishes up her performance with the crowd. She then introduces Karen to the crowd in a state of nervousness. Karen reveals the first moment she heard Sakura's voice. Meanwhile, at the entrance, Vitali infiltrates the festa with the help of a traitor disguised as a normal blonde girl. As the two idols continue their performance, Claire discovers that one of the security guards at the staff entrance gate was found unconscious. According to reports, the girl lost her memories, but for some reason the girl repeatedly says something regarding a Corliss savage. Amidst these events, a scene unfolds at the Festa site where a group of menacing mecha, reminiscent of bees, makes an appearance. Providentially, Riisha and Erika are also present at the scene. With determination, they deploy their formidable 100 weapons to engage the mecha in combat, yet a surprising twist takes place. Strangely, with each strike they deliver to the mecha begin to detonate autonomously, catching everyone off guard. Back in the office, Claire and the others realize that only Vitali has the power to infiltrate Little Garden. Angered, Claire immediately orders Chris to eliminate all remaining robots. Meanwhile, Claudiette is cursing Hayato for manipulating Emilia into falling in love with him, and that's when a bunch of planes come crashing into the battleship, from which many Corliss savages emerge. In the office, Chris reveals that their systems have been infected by a virus, while Charlotte suggests that Vitali has created a strange replica of Savage to fight like her personal soldiers. A while later, Emilia and Hayato report to the student council office, where they initially receive orders to protect Kraven and the others, but soon the situation outside gets worse as countless Corliss savages initiate their attack on Little Garden's barrier. In the end, Claire orders the two of them to fight off the current threat without getting themselves killed. Meanwhile, Vitali meets up with Kraven and his sisters, but their reunion isn't what she expected as Kraven opposes her decision to attack innocent civilians present on the battleship. Furthermore, Kraven believes that the people he met at Little Garden are far from evil. Wanting to bring them under control, Vitali uses a special device in their heads, making them obey her orders. Just when things seem tough, Charlotte's helper comes to help, but turns out she isn't as strong as Vitali. After a gruesome battle, Charlotte's assistant manages to free the children from Vitali's control. However, she uses this moment to escape from the scene. After some time passes, she goes into the hidden room where Lisa is held. There, she is greeted by Judel. In that instance, Vitali curses Judel for betraying her love and states that she will exact her revenge. She attempts to destroy Lisa, but all of her bullets are deflected. Turns out, Lisa awoke due to the angelic voice of Sakura and Karen. Afterwards, Lisa protects Judel from Vitali's fires, which gives him the perfect opportunity to kill Vitali for good. Meanwhile, Hayato uses every ounce of his strength to vanquish the colossal Corliss savage, leaving him completely drained of power. Moments later, Savage reappears and prepares to fire an energy beam. Luckily, Kraven and the others arrive in time to save Hayato. Kraven then starts to attack using his special powers, but none of his moves seem to work against the huge disaster. Desperate to save Hayato, Neset uses her right eye to transform herself into a savage. Meanwhile, in the office, Claire receives notice that Neset has lost control of his powers and soon she will self-destruct, which will destroy everything in the vicinity. This revelation forces her to take actions. As she heads to the battlefield to finish off the threat, Hayato regains his consciousness. He then reminds Neset of her existence and her family, forcing her to come back to her senses. This puts an end to the entire situation with the Corliss variance and vitality. Later, during the nighttime, Emilia says she wants to spend her whole life with Hayato. After hearing her heartfelt words, Hayato opens up and shares that he also plans to be with her forever. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing to the channel and stay tuned for more quality uploads.